Comics 2. Alright guys, this is the ClutchGaming versus GoldenGuardians VOD review. We're just going to jump right to the champ select. Alright, first ban out of the gate is Rengar by Clutch. We're met with a Callista by GoldenGuardians. And Braum by Clutch. Gnar by GoldenGuardians. So where's Ezreal and Zoe? I mean, Ezreal is not a necessity to ban Zoe. Okay, so let's see Clutch pick like. Okay, first pick Gangplank. I really like. Yes, it is blue side, but still, God, so vulnerable. You can do stuff too. I mean, he's a powerful pick. Don't get me wrong. He does also axe any ability of them picking champions that would. Like, he sort of forces the enemy's hand in a way, or he ends up just getting a free advantage. There's no other way of looking at it. Mic is pretty low, according to some people in Twitch chat. Okay, let me try to up it. Okay. And Ornn is picked too. That might be support Ornn. I assume that's support Ornn, unless the Gangplank's the flex to mid. Looks like Vladimir is picked up, and then Azir. Vladimir is actually one of the stronger champions in the game. I think he's just below Azir, especially given the fact that he's also able to be flexed. Really, really obnoxious with Spellbook. Really, really obnoxious with Spellbook. Yep, GP with Klepto can actually mitigate a lot of the pressure. Okay. Bans are LeBlanc and Ryze. Met with Alistar and Tahm Kench, and then the response to Azir is Malzahar. So Azir basically has constant priority and control, and now, okay, so before we even get to the next stage, I just want to talk about something. First, okay, well, geez. This, terrible, first pick. Yes, you can basically say to them, hey, look, if you're coming into this with a draft in mind where you want to pick a champion that GP is good into, well, you can't do it anymore. We just get a free Gangplank. And that's never a situation that you're going to want to find yourself into. So right out of the gate, it's going to force them to pick a champion that is at least slightly favored against Gangplank, right? Unless they just want to bend over, which is not what they want to do. They follow this up with Ornn, which is interesting because now it conceals the Gangplank maybe being able to go mid lane, depending on if the matchup is maybe okay, but nonetheless, it's still pretty weird. Alternatively, it could actually be a support Ornn. I don't think that's completely out of the realm of possibility, and then they wrap it up with a Tristana. This is met by a Kog'Maw, a Vladimir, and a Azir. The thing for me is, yes, Vladimir goes in, and it's like a inverted form of peeling, where he dives the backline so hard that attention is turned away from Azir and Kog'Maw. And so Kog'Maw is still able to basically be protected by that. And he's able to rain down, from safety. Azir obviously able to, do a lot of stuff from long range. So then the bans come in, and we get the Zed and the Ryze. And obviously at this point, we get LeBlanc and Ryze. I was about to say Zed. Zed isn't a possibility because you're not going to have Zed with a Tristana and with a Gangplank. You're just not going to be doing damage. You're going to end up falling off way, way, way too hard, and you're going to need a super, super strong AP jungler. So you're reduced to like Evelynn and Elise, and then obviously Elise is not a champ, or Evelynn, in theory, should not be a champion you want against this team comp. But anyways, so let's go over this, the ending, the ending stuff here. Okay, you go Malzahar, you're gonna lose here, right? You go Gangplank, that's gonna lose here. Okay, you have the Tristana, and they end up picking this, and they reserve the counter, or they have the option now to get jungle. You have winning here, you have winning here, and you have such a strong winning mid, right? Like levels 1 through 5. Okay. That Azir has basically constant priority. So you have a few options. You could go for Shyvana, right? If you want to just have this super giga all-in and then use the Taric ultimate to mitigate the damage that comes out of Gangplank and Malzahar during the mid-game teamfights, because your mid and top are just so powerful naturally. And then also because you're red side, you know, depending on the positioning of bottom lane, you know, you have the rock, then you have the turret right, or God, that's not good. Depending on the state of bottom lane, you have the turret right here, and then you have like the wall, and then you have like the brush, right? If your bottom lane is like right around here and you're Shyvana or something, you can actually be pretty safe when going near the dragon as long as they have a decent level of control and they're relatively healthy. These are just like minuscule things to consider. They can go for an extremely strong jungler that can make a lot of plays. So they could actually go for something like, you can't go for an Elise, that's too much magic damage, so you're looking at a physical jungler. So right now we are looking at something like J4, right? We're looking at Jarvan 4, you're looking at like Kha'Zix, but Kha'Zix is obviously not ideal into these champions right here. You could go Lee Sin, you could go off-tank Lee Sin. This would actually be a pretty unique situation where I think that he would actually be viable. Shyvana, I think, is kind of Shyvana's not the best here, but I don't think that she's actually the worst. So it's just giving up way too much control to Golden Guardians, and this is just a complete draft blunder. Yeah, that's the only way I can say it. It's one of the grossest drafts. They pick. Don't tell me they pick Kyle. All right, you know what? Whatever. Jesus, Jarvan basically does everything that Kha'Zix does, but better, because super easy to dive top lane with Jarvan. Super easy, right? Jarvan provides the lockdown, right? So they have to be a little bit safer with flashes. And now obviously Twitch chat's going to be like, but Tristana's W. That's great. Jarvan can go glass cannon. He's still going to deal a lot of damage if that's what you want him to do. Jarvan Vladimir, that's obviously scary in and of itself. It offers you some, you know, defensive utility. You can REQ out if you want to skew, you know, the terrain or whatever. Kha'Zix, I think in this case, Kha'Zix is kind of a worse version of Shyvana. Obviously, there is some trade-offs. I talked about this in the SKT versus Jhin. I think Pickban. I think that was the one I was talking about it with. I can understand Kha'Zix, like we mentioned it, but I just think that Jarvan and Lee Sin almost provide the same amount of stuff. I mean, you just have so many powerhouses right here. You don't really need any resources here. This doesn't make any sense. Okay. Twitch chat trolling me. This dude doesn't realize they have Tristana rocket jump. Not the point. Alright. So, in terms of draft, the only thing I don't like is the Kha'Zix. I think it's just like, it's way too many power picks meshed together, and I don't think that they synergize as well as they could have. So the Kha'Zix is the only thing that I have an issue with. But I mean, I think that ClutchGaming's draft is atrocious. So they got, I mean, we get, you know, you got that going for you. Clutch is like, if ClutchGaming even falls slightly behind, it's just the game ends. There is zero stall. There is zero ways to recover. Zero ways to come back. Fortunately for them, Cloud Drake is the first thing that spawns. So it's not like you know, things can get completely blown out of the water in like the first 10 minutes, but there are so many options available for like low contracts and high. It is just insane. If everyone opens up with Malefic Visions, casts it immediately onto high. But I mean, with the way that these lanes are, there is so much pressure put onto Lyra to do something. And I mean, okay, if ClutchGaming can get ahead for any reason, right? Like, for any way that they can get ahead, it's ugly but not unsalvageable with Golden Guardians team comp. So there is some insurance policy that's like available to them there. Contracts coming in now, finding Lyra, and I mean, this is pretty good. You know, comes into the jungle, finds Lyra, basically tells him that he can't help out any of his laners, even going to steal away the Gromp. Solo really low on mana, and Lyra coming back in, ends up spotting... I really like what Contracts is doing. This is actually fantastic. Just keeping tabs on the Evelynn, putting her, you know, in the grave, stealing away everything. Everyone knows exactly where Eve can be right now. Lyra picks that up, but you can see that bottom lane, they're completely immune to anything. Mid lane already getting an advantage. High gets a pretty nice recall off. So now Contract's pathing back up. He's going to be able to go to his Wraith camp. What just leveled him up? What? Oh, that's so ugly. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Wait, what? What? How is he in range? Oh, one of these ones. Has to be one of these ones. This is so unfortunate. So basically, this camp respawns a higher level, and if you're Contracts with this smite, you want to come over here and eat this and then smite it to get the level up. Maybe you don't smite it, whatever, but you want to kill this for the rubber banded XP. Wait. Maybe I'm an idiot here. Hold on. I might be a clown. I'm a clown. He never took the camp. I'm an idiot. Shut up. Twitch chat. Wait. Yeah. I'm an idiot. Okay. Alright, good. But glad to know. Glad to know, Twitch chat. Coach, by the way. Sorry. Coach, by the way. Alright. Gets pink ward down, comes back, gets vision, and then farms. It's pretty good. Alright. Azir still pretty ahead, and this is a situation where, like, if you're high or something, right, and your bottom lane is relatively safe, you know Gangplank's coming right back up to top lane, right? This is a situation where your mana is kind of low, right? But if you were able to shove this in, or know that Kha'Zix is going to path the left-hand side, this is like one of those unique spots where the dragon is so shit, and bot lane is so immune, that you can just shove this in, Febriven's forced to deal with it, and you just go 3 top lane. And even if you don't commit to it, Gangplank has to play back and he loses out on CS, and you don't lose anything because the next wave is barely coming out of the Nexus. Okay, it's got a turtle head poking out. Yeah, all of this will be uploaded to YouTube. Rubber banding on any camp is if the camp is a higher level than you, you basically left click it, its avatar pops up here. If it has a higher level than you, then you get extra XP when you kill it. Only applies on big monsters. So you wanna path relative to, you know, camp respawns, what level you are, and you can use that to propel yourself back into a game if you gank a lot early on, and get behind in levels. You can use that to accelerate yourself getting back into the game while your laners are ahead. Okay, so ClutchGaming goes and steals away the blue. And I really don't like... I feel like there's been a lot of opportunity with the level of control that GoldenGuardians have had on the left-hand side of the map for them to coordinate something against the Gangplank. Pretty unacceptable death by High. Let's take a look at this. You see he shoves in the lane, and then he goes to back up. Backs up on top of a ward. You can see the ping. And he's silenced right now. I don't know why he doesn't do the Azir thing. Like, he's playing with fire. That was really slow. Could have healed way sooner for the MS, and then you could have just done the Azir thing to get out. Could have even flashed. There's so many ways out of that, but you can see that he really didn't want to have to do that. Maybe he just thought Evelyn's not here. But I don't think that Malzahar is going to be running forward like that without Evelyn being there. No, not Streamer Shuffle. Oh, he dashed into the brush. Is he on cooldown? Can't even see it. Oh, yeah. Okay. That wiggle on the minimap. Yeah, he's on cooldown. Oh, that really... He needs to just flash then. Like, this is one of those instances, something that comes to mind is, like, there's a game with, like, a Lissandra in pro play. It might actually even be Keen. Lissandra throws out a claw, and I think it's a Victor that's in the game. Like, Victor... I want to say, like, Victor is over here and Liss is here, and she throws a claw in Victor's direction, and he just flashes. Because he can't even risk Lissandra coming out of the claw and then frozen tombing him. I can't remember what game it was. I know he was silenced, but that's, like, watch, the silence fades. It's faded. Flash. That's all. He could flash. He can definitely flash. What? Flash heal, I'm pretty sure his cooldowns come up in time with flash heal. No, there's no way for Evelyn to be waiting over the wall because of where contracts recalled. Or at least not realistically. Okay, so there's a huge pause, or so I've been told. So we're going to skip into the game. All right. And so now it's really bizarre. Like, the lane setups that they had, see, this is why I wanted something like Jarvan, or even Sejuani would be better here. You know, like, something that can just go with Vladimir. Azir's going to have permapush, levels 1 through 6 plus, right? He's going to have permapush. Like, when Malzahar gets Lost Chapter or whatever, it becomes a little bit more bearable, right? But Azir permapushes with everything that Contracts did early on. He did a fantastic job early on. They had so much control on the left-hand side. Definitely and Matt were super safe down in bottom lane, right? You shove in the wave. You just go into the fog of war. You basically, you have like a control ward. I don't even know. You have like you can have a control ward here, and then you can have like a control ward here, and then you have just a generic ward here, right? Azir goes into fog of war, and then Gangplank has to back up. Vladimir coordinates a dive using flash and ignite. Like, before he uses the spell poke to swap back to teleport, right? And all that you have to do is just dive him. You have Vladimir start the tanking, then you pull out of it, doesn't matter if Gangplank ults, and you just kill him repeatedly over and over and over. And if Febvin ends up teleporting, or, you know, if Febvin tries to match the roam, he can't. This is why the Kha'Zix pick's a little bit weird, especially when these options presented themselves in, like, the first 8 minutes, and then none of them were actually taken. But these are just macro-based decisions. It has nothing to do with, like, mechanics. So now Hai is actually behind. And again, even if this Golden Guardians team composition falls behind, they can still recover just with some good team fights. They just need some really good flat ultimates. They need Kog'Maw to basically just be able to stand still and then go off. Okay. See what Contracts does here. This is gonna be really weird. Okay, never mind. Solo just actually backs up and then looks or he recalls. Okay. Pass on to the right hand side of the map. I mean, the game is still in an even state, but this isn't a game that you want to be in an even state because of the Malzahar and the Gangplank. They end up picking up themselves the Cloud Drake, next Drake to spawn. I didn't act. Okay, Mountain. That's super, super big for both parties. More so Golden Guardians. They get the blue buff. Contracts continues to power farm. And Lyra's potentially gonna... No, never mind. Pulled out by Loro. Loro. Okay. Game is so weird. It's like such a poor draft by Clutch isn't punished at all, and it's like they're gonna get away with it. So weird. Just with like how Golden Guardians is playing, like team comps are relevant. It's almost like they're uncomfortable, like on this type of a team composition. It's like they're uncomfortable with the like Contracts. I think is actually doing a pretty good job, right? I think that as a team they could have used the Azir and the Kha'Zix differently. In like again like the first 10 minutes or so with the Vladimir pickup in top lane with the spellbook. I think that as what was that? Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Yep. Ornn comes in with the spellbook. Pretty interesting. And they should just get the turret. I don't know. Okay. They do end up getting the turret. They back off. And this is a nightmare. You don't want your Azir losing mid-tier 1 turret. Talked about this months ago. I talked about it in some of the earlier VODs. These turrets, with the change that happened before Season 8, with the HP and everything, these turrets are so important for controlling these areas. So utility mages were inadvertently buffed, because it is so obnoxious to try to penetrate these turrets, and it almost requires like herald usage if like something didn't go completely awry in the early stages of the game. This is just super, super weird. But anyways, like, this... I can sit here and I can bitch, piss, and moan about the Kha'Zix all day, but realistically, the team play between these three players was not there. Contracts individually did a lot, but he didn't do anything with it. Okay? Like, he found, he found gold, and then he didn't know how to mine it. That's basically what ended up happening. He did so much in the early game, put Lyra so far behind, and they should have been able to get so many advantages out of it, and they just didn't. And then the Azir pressure just really began to feel lackluster, and it fell off. Held being used bottom. That's, like, why? But, okay. I get that. I mean, they didn't need that to get the turret. Mountain Drake coming up in 50 seconds. They should be able to capitalize on that. And then with Malzahar, Tristana, it's going to be very easy to pick up the Baron. Gameplay's almost at level 13. Golden Guardians, they're pretty far behind now. Can they still win? Yes. Again, like it's going to require a God engage from Lorlo. And then it's going to require Deathly to just be able to get into a really nice position. One of the things that I think is just mind-numbing to me is look at Deathly's itemization, right? He has Gwynsu's, and then he has a Zeal. Why on God's Earth, okay, you have 4 sources of magic damage, okay? I don't know why you're not going Wit's End. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make it. Not only they have 1, 2, 3, Gangplank's ult is magic. They have so many sources of magic damage. And you're not going Wit's End. Okay, someone from Twitch chat is saying that Golden Guardians has little to no engage. I think that you have never played with a good Vladimir. That's all that I have to say about that. You've never played with a good Vladimir. Isn't it Gwynsu? It's Gwynsu. No? I don't know. No, Deathly's not bad. Deathly's actually one of the better Western players. I think he has a lot of potential. Alright, to chat. Golden Guardians didn't either. Listen, in Korean, I'm pretty sure it's... oh god, this is gonna be weird. I'm pretty sure it's Gwynsu in Korean. I'm pretty sure it's this in Korean. Someone can check this for me. If you're a Korean in chat, I'm pretty sure it's Gwynsu in Korean. Like, I'm pretty sure it's that. I don't know. That's where I first learned it, okay? Alright, let's see, boys. Looks like, okay, well that's definitely not how you engage with Vladimir. That's how you run away. One of those, God, no, I don't want to recycle a joke. Alright, 4K gold down. This game is really ugly. So basically, they need to farm up until they all have... Okay, well, they're not going to get time to farm up. I really like this Baron capture. Golden Guardians just look clueless. It's almost like you're watching a solo queue team versus a competitive team. It doesn't look like they actually know what they're doing. Even, like, honestly, it's really weird how true that even sounds if you go back to the early game. Contracts was, like, eviscerating ClutchGaming, and then nothing was happening with his laners. It was really like watching solo queue. This is actually ClutchGaming playing dynamic queue right now. This is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Yeah, I was right, Twitch chat. I was right. In Korean, it's Gwinsu. Yeah, thanks. All right. Can you explain how to properly engage with Vlad? Let me find it for you. Let me see. Let me find this for you, Twitch chat. You want to see a Vlad engage? This is one of the best Vlad engages of all time. That's how Vlad engages. So, like I was saying earlier, it is an inverted form of peeling, right? You draw and demand so much attention from the backline that your ADC is just free to rain down hailfire. Because you just get in there, in the back, and they are so tied up dealing with you. That's how a Vlad engages. Okay, if you're a Vladimir player in chat or something and you're watching this, you need to learn how to engage because Vladimir is one of the best engagers in League. You just have to know how to use his Sanguine Pool, know how to use his ultimate, etc. So when we're looking at this Golden Guardians team composition, you're goddamn right they have an engage. They just have to know how to utilize it. Because that into like an Azir AoE with Kha'Zix picking off, you know, the people that are, you know, like stray cats trying to run away. And then definitely just getting to auto attack and move forward because, you know, that's very skilled, Kog'Maw. That would be their ideal situation. But honestly, this just looks like Golden Guardians is playing solo queue. So I don't know what the hell's going on. This is the lowest level play out of all the VOD reviews today. ClutchGaming, they did okay. Their draft, atrocious, they did okay. So, it's, you know. They should have fallen a lot further behind than they did. Like, in theory, it looks good. You know, in theory, it's like something that looks really busted in a card game, but it's just terrible. So for like all you people playing Hearthstone or something, you know those like legendaries or something that are like 10 mana or 8 mana and they look really cool, but they're just actually terrible and they can't be played? That's what this is right now. But if for some unholy reason the board state and the opponent is like playing in a coma or something, right? He's like, he has a way to say yes and no or whatever. Then yeah, it ends up looking good. The fact that they were able to get there with this type of a team comp was like fascinating. This was just really strange. This is like I don't even know what this is. God. Yeah, it's like a 10 mana 12/12 or something. It's so weird. I reviewed every single game. Very few players can pilot Azir. I'm not going to go out of my way, though, to flame High or something. Like, you could replace High with, like, a very large amount of players, and I would still say they should not be put on Azir. There's some Korean players can't play Azir. It's just too hard. He is made a little bit easier with the changes that he got, but he's still just way too hard. Well, it's not just High playing poorly. It's a combination of things. Lorlo, Contracts, and High synergy was just completely absent. It looked like Contracts was playing really well, but it looks like they were playing solo queue. And then as the game began to drag on, it really did not feel like they have any sense of direction or idea of what to do. Even watching this stage of the game, right? And you're watching it unfold. You can almost it's almost like they're coming up with lane assignments on the fly, rather than knowing like who goes where. You know? They're just so far behind right now. 11k, Baron's coming up again in a minute and 30 seconds. I mean, it's week one, day one, you know? I'm pretty against trying to analyze an entire team or players based on low sample size. You just can't. It's one of the most obnoxious things in the world to do. You can't, like, you can't see, like, losses or stuff. It's really weird. I don't know how to actually touch on that subject. It takes more time to really see issues. What I would say, though, is that this issue is so glaring that it's almost like you can't make excuses for it. You know? This is like you show a mom the murder tape, like her son killed someone, she's like, no, that wasn't him. Like, ma'am, he's on the tape. He's like, no. Like, this is an abnormal level of play out of Golden Guardians. So this is quite problematic. Individually, yeah, there's some problems, but does it have to do with Lorlo entirely or High entirely or anything like that? No, not necessarily. Like, there's more things that you can attribute it to. I can't even speak. Unfamiliarness with the team composition, unfamiliarness maybe with the champions, like how practiced are they really on these champs? Could just be a bad game, you know? You need to see more of these champions, of these styles, you know, in these situations. Sometimes, though, you can just tell that someone's a god. Like, it goes both ways. Sometimes you can just be like, okay, I don't actually need to see anymore, this person is a god, you know? Golden Guardians trying to hold on. And I mean, if they can hold on for just a little bit longer, if they could, in theory, somehow like pull a Jin Green Wings against SKT and get to a point where Vladimir has 4 items, Azir is at like 3.5 items, Kog'Maw's at 4 items, yeah, they can go for a hero engage. Like that's basically their only chance back into this game. Is like a Vladimir 4/5 man ultimate with a Shurima shuffle onto like 4 targets, maybe get a pick. Not that. And then definitely just auto attacks to victory. Otherwise, I don't think that there's any way out of this. Also, you can see that Golden Guardians, they're pretty immobile. They don't have the best of ways to handle these types of split push type tactics. It's really unfortunate that ClutchGaming is even in a position where they're allowed to do this. White Staff picked up now. Game is all but over. I just assume that there's like a death push in like the next 2 minutes. Double Mountain Drake was also really unfortunate for Golden Guardians. If it was like double Cloud that came up after, or like double Ocean Drake, some stuff's a little bit easier, but this game just accelerated out of control way too fast. Golden Guardians didn't seem like they understood what they needed to do pre 15 minutes at all. It doesn't even matter about if they were capable of doing stuff at like 25 and 30 on even footings. They never really were allowed to get there. This is an instance I was kind of talking about this in the SKT game, trading bodies for objectives, because eventually just your opponents can't keep up. You can see like GoldenGuardians, they get a kill onto Lyra, but doesn't matter. They have no map presence. They have no ability to come out. Like Definitely's going to be able to come out, he's, shove this wave, that's it, back up again. Fog of War, they can't advance any further. They're not going to get any objectives. I mean, it was almost a well, no, not a perfect game, actually. Cloud Drake was already taken. I will analyze EU LCS for those asking in Twitch chat, but I will have 3 separate days for LCK, NA, and EU. NA will be on Tuesdays in the future, LCK on Friday nights in the future, and then Europe perhaps on Sundays. Because I have 10 games a week from NA and EU to review, so a lot, I gotta do 20 VOD reviews a week of NA and EU, and then I have to do selective VOD reviews of Korea. Already did Echo Fox, and that's gonna be lights out. Contracts going down there. This is not generic green. This is not SK Telecom, and that is not generic Green Wings. This game is over. Yeah, Gangplank Ultimate, just trying to apply pressure. They get the turret. And it just doesn't even matter at this point. High just gets lit up. I mean, even if in some miracle universe they were able to, kill ClutchGaming here and ace them, the death timers aren't big enough where Clutch would not be able to basically respawn and then get to the Baron, and with the super minions coming in from every single wave, they would be able to just get the Baron and then close out the game there. So that's pretty much it for this. I really do have to say, like, this VOD was very special for like a lot of reasons. So out of all the VODs that we did tonight, I think we did a total of 6. This had the worst draft on one side, and it also had the worst level of play. Now, that's not indicative that it's going to remain a constant throughout the season or anything. I'm just saying, like, what I saw, first impressions from all the games that I did end up reviewing. So, all right, I mean, that's good for Clutch. So that's pretty much it for that one.